Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is Roman, the true football fan, back once again with another one of my 2014-2015 NFL team previews. Moving on to the AFC North after making 4 videos in the NFC North, which consists of the Chicago Bears, the Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers, and Detroit Lions. If you haven't checked out those videos yet, go ahead and go to my channel and check those out. I got them in a playlist set up just for you guys. If you missed all of them, go ahead and watch through them, no stopping, and just relax, kick back, put in the headphones, and listen to me talk about the NFC North, which 20 minutes about each video, so that leads up to about an hour of me talking about football, which I love to do, ladies and gentlemen. So before I move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers and the AFC North, the team that I will be talking about next for the remainder of this video, I want to ask you guys something, the fans, people that I like to entertain, the people I want to give enjoyment to and talk about football with, because it is about you guys. And I want you guys to think of something. I like movies, I like football, I like video games, and I like football more than anything. I love talking about it more than anything. And I would like for you guys to think of something that would be a great YouTube name for me, something that has a lot of flavor to it, something that about my personality that would kind of go with it. Like the true football fan, I enjoy using that name. I'm a true football fan. I'm true to the game. I'm not biased. I never hate a team. I never hate a specific player. I'm not one of those people. I'm true to the game. I give everyone fair opinion. I give every player a fair opinion, and I have a great opinion on everything, and I want my voice to be heard. So if you guys want to think of something, go ahead. Think of some columns that I can use. I've been thinking about Roman Reviews. That's my name, Roman. Roman Reviews. I'm going to review this. I'm going to review this movie. I'm going to review this week in the NFL. So Roman Reviews, Roman Rants. If I have something to rant about, like a Josh Gordon or a Johnny Manziel, I'm going to go ahead and rant about that. Roman Rants, rest of the title. And then Roman ranks. Roman ranks top 10 wide receivers. Roman ranks top 10 running backs. Top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. Something along those lines, which would be a great column. I think I'm going to start it soon enough. So go ahead and leave down in the comments below what would be a good YouTube name for me to use. I like football. My name is Roman RBC. If you want to throw a little bit of something in there, Roman RBC Factor, Roman RBC Podcast, this, that, and the other. It's all up to you guys. I want to get you guys more involved. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Should I do the columns or the segments about Roman Rants, Roman Reviews, and Roman Ranks? Should I do that? I've been really thinking about doing it, but it's up to you guys. If you guys want to see it, I'll go ahead and do that for you guys. But moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is take number 2. I was 13 minutes into the video, and all of a sudden my computer said there's not enough space left on your computer. You're going to have to delete a few videos, delete a few items, so I went ahead and did that for about 5 to 10 minutes. So now here I am. I'm here doing this, take number 2. Let's see how things go. The Pittsburgh Steelers last season, 2013-2014 NFL season, they finished 8-8, a 500 record, middle of the pack with the 15th pick in the NFL draft, And we're just going to get into the offense a little bit, then talk about it a little bit, and then move into their defense, talk about that for a little bit, move on to their additions, move on to their losses, and then talk about their schedule. Same as always, same as the NFC North videos, and then I'll progress forward in the AFC North. Pass yards per game. The Pittsburgh Steelers finished 12th in the NFL with 251 pass yards per game, led behind none other than Ben Roethlisberger himself, Big Ben, and Antonio Brown at the wide receiver position. In rush yards per game, they finished 28th at the bottom half of the league, 86 yards per game. That's not very good. Pittsburgh finally got a running back in the draft last season, Le'Veon Bell, one of my favorite players coming in, a possible Rookie of the Year candidate that obviously went to another player. But talking about the offense here, we're going to go ahead and go back to the passing game, and then we'll move on to the rushing game. The pass yards per game intrigues me. They're above average. They're obviously above average. The average mark is 16, and they're at 12 because there are 32 teams in the NFL. 32 divided by 2 is 16. So they're obviously above average in the NFL in passing yards per game, and that's expected out of a quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger. He's one of the top 15 quarterbacks in the game today, and he has receivers that can get down the field, catch the ball, and do something with it. Antonio Brown is a prime example. Antonio Brown really exploded last season and became a top 10 receiver in the NFL. I loved watching Antonio Brown play. He's got speed, and he can catch the ball. Did you guys see the catch against the Bears last season? It was phenomenal. He has the eyes to track the ball and catch the ball in tough situations, in tight corners, above a defender, over a defender, around a defender, anything. And then he's got the speed on top of that. So what Big Ben has is the fact he's got a signature move. He's got that pump fake. And he can pump fake any defender in the league, I think. Maybe possibly besides Richard Sherman or Darrell Revis or Patrick Peterson or Joe Hayden. I don't know about all that. But he has faked out some defenders where they've just stopped and bit. Like he's going to throw to a running back that's going out for a screen or going to a tight end at a 5-yard in route. Every defender has bit that I've seen so far. Now, it's a signature move because if that happens, if he pump fakes and that defender bites that's on the receiver, like an Antonio Brown, and the free safety or the strong safety is doing something else on the field, Antonio Brown, for example, is going to be down the field ready for a touchdown. Now, with a receiver like Mike Wallace, who is now in Miami, he was shopped out last season, and he had the speed. Antonio Brown has speed as well, and he's a top 10 receiver in the game, no doubt about it. Yeah, it was only one season, but I think this guy has excellent potential. And with the passing yards at 12th, with 251 yards per game, I think they're happy with that. I'm pretty sure they want to be in top 10. They obviously want to be number 1, but they know that they can't. Now, the running game is obviously faltered last season. This is not what they wanted, but they grabbed a running back in the draft last season in Le'Veon Bell, possible Rookie of the Year candidate, everyone thought, and he ended up surprising a lot of people. He didn't play every game, and then they grabbed LeGarrette Blount in the offseason to help out in the backfield. Now, what intrigues me about this backfield is the fact that they're not fast runners, not super fast, but what they are is they're strong, big running backs like a Marshawn Lynch. Le'Veon Bell and LeGarrette Blount alike can catch in the backfield. They can receive as well. They can catch the ball, truck a defender, and they get another 10, 15 yards, possibly a touchdown. But what also works for this team is they don't always get that huge big play that gets them a touchdown from 30 yards out. What they do as a Pittsburgh Steelers offense is they get within the 10-yard line, 5-yard line, and what do? They run the ball. And Le'Veon Bell, Ben Roethlisberger as well, and LeGarrette Blount, they're going to be running within the 5-yard line because they're big players, and players can't really tackle them. They're big guys, their shoulder width is huge, and they can get past any defender they would like. As long as it's not like the premier outside linebacker or linebacker like a Luke Kuechly or Navarro Bowman. So them in the 5-yard line, that's a deadly combination. Plus with Big Ben being having excellent ball placement for as old as he is, throwing to a receiver like Antonio Brown or Marcus Wheaton or receiver Lance Moore that they picked up in the offseason, I'm very excited to see this team play. They also grabbed Darius Hayward-Bay, and he's not the greatest receiver, but it's a good pickup to have just in case players do get injured, and he can play in the spotlight. He's shown it before. He's gotten big catches before. But this offense really intrigues me this season. I really want to see where it's going to go. They're above average in passing yards, but they're in the bottom half of the league. They're at the bottom of the barrel in rush yards per game, but I think that's going to change. Only 86 yards. They probably want to be at a 100 yards per game, at least at an average, maybe a 95. And I think that can change with the addition of LeGarrette Blount. A lot of people don't realize he was a key factor to the Patriots last season. And I think he's going to show up really well for the Steelers, a team that's a big team. They're not the fastest team, but they're big players, and they can pretty much do whatever they want. They really do well on offense. They score a lot of points, and that leads me right into their defense. The defense. Moving on to their defense. Opponent pass yards per game allowed 9th at 222 yards a game. That's expected from the defensive backs and the safeties that they have. And then opponent rush yards per game towards the bottom half of the league at 21st with 115 yards per game, but they did address that situation through the draft. So opponent pass yards per game, we're going to go ahead and backtrack to that. 222 yards per game, top 10 in the league, 9th overall. Excellent. Why is this excellent? Well, because it's what they need. They forced interceptions. They don't force very many pass yards, but they allow a lot of rush yards, which was devastating to them. But their defensive backs and their safeties consist of cornerback William Gay, cornerback Cortez Allen, cornerback Ike Taylor, strong safety Troy Polamalu, and free safety Mike Mitchell. This is obviously a great core to have. They're getting up there in age. They've been with the Pittsburgh Steelers for a while now. They understand Dick LeBeau's base 3-4 defense very, very well. And to see them play and to get to know each other just a little bit more for another season and for them re-signing these players is excellent. I'm very excited to see what this team does on defense. Dick LeBeau always has a top 10 defense, but with that 21st overall in opponent rush yards allowed per game, that takes them out of it. Okay? So by adding players in the draft, like a linebacker Ryan Shazier out of Ohio State University with the 15th pick in the draft, and then defensive end Stephon Tuitt in the second round of the draft, that is excellent to have. 46th pick overall. out of Notre Dame. I'm really excited to see what this team is going to do. They kept to the Midwest. They grabbed a player from the state of Indiana, but he attends Notre Dame. They grabbed Ohio State player Ryan Shazier, the second best linebacker, or one of the top 3 linebackers, however you want to rank them. Khalil Mack is obviously the best one. Anthony Barr is up there. But Ryan Shazier is a player. But I'm going to go ahead and go back to the defense a little bit. With the defense, Troy Polamalu, this guy's getting up there in age, but he's still an exciting and electric player, and I really love watching him play, still to this day. And I really would like for him to get to his healthy days of a 2008 and a 2007, 2009 as well. I would really love for him to get back to those days, because if you go back to last season, towards the beginning of the season, when they were playing the Tennessee Titans early on in the game, Troy Polamalu runs out of nowhere with his spectacular speed for an old man, and obviously a joke there. Relax, Steelers fans. Troy Polamalu runs with his speed, jumps over the offensive line of the Tennessee Titans, and sacks Jake Locker, the quarterback. Excellent play. I was stunned. Watching NFL Red Zone, sitting down, I'm like, the announcer says, you got to see this play from Troy Polamalu. You're not going to believe what happened. I'm like, oh, he probably got a one-handed interception. But no, instead he leaps over the offensive line at just the right moment as Jake Locker snaps the ball, and he sacks him. Where the hell have you ever seen that before? I've never seen it before. But Troy Polamalu has proven that he can still play at an older age. I would like for him to stay healthy, to play more, and to play all 16 games, to really force plays, defend passes, make big plays downfield, tackle a running back that gets open. Moving down to the opponent rush yards allowed per game, this is at 115. They don't want to be here. They want to keep a running back or the offensive rushing of another team down at 100. Or around 100 at least. Or maybe no rushing yards allowed per game at all. But that's obviously not going to happen. They addressed this situation in the draft. Like I said before, they added Ryan Shazier, linebacker out of Ohio State University, 15th pick overall in the draft, and I love this pick. I wish he would have fell one more to the Dallas Cowboys, because we really need help at the linebacker position, but they still had a great pick anyways. But Ryan Shazier, when you go back and look at this guy's highlights, a lot of people still tend to forget that this guy is a beast. This guy is exciting, and he's fun to watch. Now, he's not a big linebacker like a Navarro Bowman, like a Patrick Willis. He's not huge like them. But he's small. He's smaller. He's not completely small. He's stocky, and he's very fast and very strong. Someone you wouldn't want to mess with. Someone you wouldn't want to meet down in an alley. This guy, watching his highlights, it's just incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Ohio State is one of my favorite teams in college football, and I love watching them play. And Ryan Shazier, this guy is incredible. He gets to the quarterback so fast and sacks him. One arm, tugs on his jersey, pulls him down. Legs, he hits players hard, and you wouldn't expect it from someone that small. But he's hauling ass, and he's coming up, and he hits these players super hard. You're like, wow, this guy is a playmaker. And Ryan Shazier is a big playmaker, and it's going to help with these opponent rush yards allowed per game. If you go back last season when they're playing the Vikings in London, Adrian Peterson broke out for however many yards and had these big, long runs of 10 to 20 yards, 15 yards, 25 yards, and touchdowns on top of touchdowns. Adding a linebacker like Ryan Shazier, a huge playmaker out of Ohio State, is going to be excellent for this Pittsburgh Steelers defense that's run by Dick LeBeau. Dick LeBeau is a great defensive coordinator. I'm going to admit it, a lot of people don't like to give the Steelers defense credit, but they can play defense. By adding Ryan Shazier, this is going to be huge for this defense. And that brings me into defensive end Stefan Tuitt, however you want to pronounce it. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments below. Now, Stefan Tuitt, he's obviously going to back up Cam Thomas, who is playing defense and defensive end on the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's the starter, unless that changes through training camp. But Stefan Tuitt, being a Notre Dame guy and watching every Notre Dame game from last season, Stefan Tuitt was a great player to watch. He's a big kid. He's a very big kid. And early on, before the draft came along, right after the season had ended, people were predicting Tuitt to go in the first round. He's that good. He ended up falling to the second round, 16th pick overall in the second round, 46 overall in the draft. He's a great player, and I think this is a steal for the Steelers. Pun totally intended. Now, opponent rush yards per game, like I've said over and over, 21st, 115 yards per game, but they addressed this. They had no issues to attend at receivers. They've got Marcus Wheaton. They grabbed Lance Moore in free agency, who's an okay receiver. Antonio Brown is a top 10 receiver, and your quarterback is a great quarterback, Big Ben. Top 15 in the game, no doubt about it. But Also on this defense, you've got Jarvis Jones going into his second year, and second-year players are starting to prove that they're getting better and better. So a second-year player like Jarvis Jones, who the Steelers drafted last season, that is a great addition to have, along with a young rookie like Ryan Shazier out of Ohio State University. And they also have 8-year veteran right inside linebacker, Lawrence Timmons. Lawrence Timmons has proven to the Steelers that he is the guy on defense. He's the leader, clearly. Or you can make a case for Troy Polamalu. That's completely okay. But Lawrence Timmons for the linebacking core, he's a leader. And he's the player that Shazier and Jones are going to look up to. And by having this group that I see right now, Jarvis Jones out of LSU, Ryan Shazier out of Ohio State, and Lawrence Timmons, this is going to be a big group to have, and I think this is going to be huge for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it could possibly get them a playoff berth. They could have gotten it last season. They made a few mistakes at the end of the season, and the Chargers and Chiefs obviously dominated, and they were good enough to get into the playoffs with taking up the two wild card spots. But with Marquise Pouncey on the offensive line, protecting Big Ben as much as possible, you got David DeCastro on the offensive line as well. I'm moving back to the offense here real quick. Marcus Gilbert at the tackle position. The guard position, you have Ramon Foster and Kelvin Beachum. Now, these guys are here to protect Big Ben. Not that Big Ben needs it. He moves around a lot. So it could hurt him a little bit. Absolutely could hurt him a little bit. Now, he has this signature style of pump faking the ball, but it could hurt him in the end. If the defense can't hold, or the offensive line can't hold the defensive line or the linebackers that long, it could end up hurting him in the end. He could get sacked from behind. He could tear a ligament. He could have surgery. Anything is possible. But Big Ben is a really strong guy, and he'll play through anything. He's played through a broken toe. He's played through anything he can. Big Ben is a big guy, clearly, and the offensive line is here to help. And I was kind of just mixing things up there, the defense and the offensive line. Don't get confused that I'm not mixing anything up, but I just wanted to address the offensive line a little bit. I didn't not want to address that. I wanted to make sure that they were involved as well. Moving on to the additions of the Pittsburgh Steelers through free agency and what they did in the offseason. They re-signed Troy Polamalu to a 3-year deal. He's obviously getting up there in age, but they clearly want him. He's clearly the face of the franchise. Make a case for Big Ben, but Troy Polamalu in defense, he's the face of this franchise. Clearly. He is fantastic. He's got speed. He can clearly show it at an older age. He's a great He's great at tackling. So Troy Polamalu, 3-year deal, not too bad. I like what they did there. They clearly want to address their defense because defense is the most important thing for the Steelers for the past 30, 40 years. They re-signed tight end Heath Miller to a 3-year deal. Heath Miller, tight end for the team, no doubt about it. Matt Spaeth is the backup, but Heath Miller is the guy there. Heath Miller and Big Ben have one of the best combinations of tight end quarterback combination in the league. You can make a case for Tony Romo, Jason Witten, Drew Brees, and Jimmy Graham, Tom Brady, and Rob Gronkowski, but Heath Miller and Ben Roethlisberger is classic. I love watching Big Ben throw to Heath Miller, and Heath Miller's a big guy. This offense is built around big players, and the defense is even built around bigger players. But trucking players, which Heath Miller has shown, he's not the greatest tight end in the league, but he's good enough for the Steelers. And if that's what they want, this is completely fine for them. They re-signed safety Will Allen to a 1-year deal. Will Allen, he's getting a little bit up there in age. They signed wide receiver Darius Hayward-Bay to a... Hey, you gotta get out here. They didn't re-sign Darius Hayward-Bay. Excuse me, my little brother walked into the room. I'm not screwing this up again. I'm finishing this video. Darius Hayward-Bay signed to a 1-year deal, wide receiver. They clearly need help just in case a player gets injured, but having Darius Hayward-Bay, that is excellent to have just in case a player gets injured. Then they signed safety, excuse me, my words all jumbled up. I got scared that I was going to have to screw up this video. They signed Adam Podlesh, punter, to a 1-year deal. Now, is the punter a big deal? Punters are a big deal that a lot of people need to understand. Punters are a very big deal. A lot of people don't really think they are. I mean, the Jaguars made a mistake drafting a punter right before Russell Wilson was picked up. But Adam Podlesh, he's shown that he can pin the offense deep into on their end of the field. He can pin them inside their own 5-yard line, their own 10-yard line, their own 15-yard line. And Adam Podlesh is a great punter to have. Moving on to the offensive lineman, they signed Wesley Johnson to a 4-year deal. Is he going to start? No, he's going to be behind David DeCastro on the depth depth chart as of right now. That could change through training camp or if he gets injured, which we don't want to see. But Wesley Johnson is there for 4 years just in case DeCastro decides to retire or something. Who knows? 4 years, it's a lot of years, and it's money that they have to spend. But it's all right. They want him. He's clearly a good enough player for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. Then, obviously, through the draft, I don't need to embrace it enough. Linebacker Ryan Shazier, great pickup. I'm really excited to see him play. He could win Defensive Player of the Year, no doubt about it. And then they grabbed defensive end Stephon Tuitt, who's more than likely going to be a backup for the defense, but he could come in case Cam Thomas gets injured. Moving on to their losses through the offseason, I really want to keep this short and sweet for their losses. They lost linebacker LaMarr Woodley to the Raiders, and losing LaMarr Woodley, yeah, they address it with Ryan Shazier. Pittsburgh Steelers are great at drafting players. So losing LaMarr Woodley, okay, big deal. We got a rookie. We got a younger guy who's going to be a big playmaker for this base 3-4 defense that we have. So they lost him to the Raiders, and the Raiders did a great job at picking him up because they lost Lamar Houston to the Bears, but we'll save that for another video when I talk about the Raiders. And then they lost wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders to the Denver Broncos, another AFC West team they lost a player to. Emmanuel Sanders, he was replaced. Marcus Wheaton, and they grabbed Darius Hayward-Bay and Lance Moore out of free agency. The Pittsburgh Steelers know what they're doing, but what all dwindles down to is their schedule. And I have a feeling that they're going to struggle this season. The glory days of the Steelers are older. The team's getting really, really old, but they've got a lot of young talent. They've got their Antonio Brown. They've got Le'Veon Bell. They've got Marcus Wheaton. They've got Darius Hayward-Bay. But their defense is getting up there in age. But by grabbing Ryan Shazier and grabbing Stephon Tuitt, could be a big team for the future. We could get back to those glory days, and they could end up picking up their 7th championship. But let's go ahead and move on to their schedule. I won't try and make this too long. I want to keep each video relatively 20 to 25 minutes. So week 1, they play the Browns at home. The Steelers always beat the Browns at home in their place at Heinz Field, so that's a win there. They go to the Ravens, and on Thursday Night Football, the first Thursday night game of the season, classic Ravens versus Steelers, defense versus defense. I'm very excited to see this game, low-scoring game, but I think they're going to lose in Baltimore. Baltimore's really good at home, especially in night games. And then they go to week 3 at Carolina. I think Carolina is too good at home. I really like Carolina this season. That's a loss there on a Sunday Night Football game. It's not going to be changed because the whole flexing schedule doesn't take place till week 12 or week 14, right around there. But week 3, Panthers Sunday Night Football. I'm excited to watch them play. The Steelers always play great on Sunday Night Football, and the Panthers are starting to get more Sunday night games, so I'm pretty excited to see this matchup, but I think the Steelers lose there. Week 4, they play the Bucs. They'll beat the Bucs in Heinz Field at home. Week 5, they go at Jacksonville. That's a win there. Week 6, they go to Cleveland, and I think they're going to lose here. I think they split with Cleveland this year, get swept by the Bengals, and I believe I have them splitting with the Ravens. Yes, I do. So Week 7 against the Texans, Monday Night Football, a game that I'm not really looking forward to because I really don't want to see the Texans play. They could end up being great. I'm still going to watch it, but I really kind of don't because it could be boring. Week 7, they play the Texans at home. I think they win here. The Texans are a mess, I think. I think the Steelers are going to be a little bit too much for them to handle. That's a Monday Night Football game, and the Steelers always play fairly well on primetime games. Week 11, they go to, they stay home at Indianapolis, in Pittsburgh, against the Colts. But the Colts, I think, are way too good this season. They're possibly the best team in the NFL. But I think the Colts are going to take that win there, and that's another loss for the Steelers. Week 9, they play the Ravens, Sunday Night Football. So 2 primetime games with the Ravens. I love watching this matchup. They're not 2 of my favorite teams, but I love watching them play. And I think they're going to beat the Ravens here at home. They're going to split. They're going to lose away, but win home on Sunday Night Football. Week 11, they go to the New York Jets, and I think they lose here. The Jets always find a way to beat the Steelers, and I kind of like the Jets this season, so we'll see how that pans out, but I think the Steelers lose there. And then they go Week 10 to the Titans right before their bye week, and I think they beat the Titans here. The Titans are a mess. Another weird Monday Night Football game, Steelers versus Titans. I don't know, it's going to be a little weird. If I got a fantasy player playing that night, I might watch. But Week 11, I think they get the win there in Tennessee. Week 12, they got their bye week. Finally, it's a little late in the season for a team that's getting up there in age. This could be crucial. We could be seeing injuries at this point, and this will be great for the team to have heading into the last stretch of the season. But the last stretch of the season, it's a tough one. I think they're going to drop 4 of their last 5 games. Excuse my voice. Week 13 at home against the Saints. Saints are way too dominant. Loss against the Saints. They go at Cincinnati. Lost there. Week 15 they go at Atlanta. I think they steal one in Atlanta. Atlanta's great at home, but I think the Steelers steal one there. So that's a win there. Week 16, they're at home against the Chiefs. I think they lose here. The Chiefs are dominant on defense and offense this season, I believe. So I think they lose against the Chiefs. And then Week 17, they play the Bengals at home. I think that's another loss there. They'll lose both. They'll get swept by the Bengals. Excuse my phone going off. A lot of interruptions in this video. I'm extremely sorry. But that brings their season record to a 7-9 record, below 500 their last half of the season. Right after that bye week is so bad. It's so bad for them. They play really great teams, all playoff contenders, obviously. The Falcons are still up in the air, possible wild card for the NFC. But they finish in their division 2-4. Those last 5 games are really hurt the Steelers, I think, and it really hurts their playoff chances. But the first half of their season, they're going to just about split it. But I have them going 7-9, and I obviously went through the video. I'm really sorry for the interruption by my little brother. He clearly doesn't know that it's 3 o'clock in the morning and it's his bedtime, and I'm sorry for my phone going off there. I don't know who called me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. Turn that gray like button green, a shiny bright green for me. And if you completely hated the video, go ahead and dislike that. Go ahead and hit that dislike button, because it's your opinion and not mine. I cannot tell you what you can and can't do. Go ahead and go down in the comments below and tell me what you think the Steelers are going to go. If you're a Steelers fan, are they going to go 16-0? Possibly not. Are they going to go 0-16 if you completely hate the Steelers? Who's your favorite player? How do you think they're going to fare this season? Tell me what you think down in the comments below, and keep things nice and clean, collected, manly, and professional. Or if you're a lady, keep it very ladylike. And go ahead and hit that subscribe button to keep updated with all things football news, all things movie news. I just did my review on Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I have plenty of videos coming out in the next week. School's coming up, so you got to hit that subscribe button and make sure you keep updated with me talking about all things football. Next up, I have the Baltimore Ravens, and then the Cincinnati Bengals, and then the Cleveland Browns on my list. And I'm going to give you guys a little insight and breakdown on what I think about those teams. And go ahead and get the word around about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Share that video. Share it with your Steelers friends. Let's see what they think. This is for you guys, not for me. And go ahead and make sure to remember to think of a catchy, fun name for YouTube. For a YouTube name, I would really appreciate it if you guys did that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is Roman, the true football fan. Once again, truly sorry for the interruptions. I want to be as professional about this as I can, but it needs to be done now. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I am tired. This is Roman, the true football fan. Have a great evening.